It's effectively more of the same of the Yakuza franchise that you enjoy, and that's not exactly a bad thing. Before we kick off this video, I want to give a huge shout out to SEGA of Europe, as well as RGG Studios, or RGG Studios, for providing the review copy of Lost Judgment for PlayStation 5. I'm a huge Yakuza fan. I go all the way back to the 2006 original release on PlayStation 2, and it's just a franchise that I've followed for the better part of, we're coming up in almost 2 decades at this point. And I've really enjoyed it overall. Like, it's just constantly involved. It's some of the best storytelling that is in a game. And a lot of people, I feel like, doing a huge disservice to themselves, especially if they're gamers or they love narrative driven games, by not playing the Yakuza franchise. And I understand it can be very, very daunting when you think about, do you jump in with Yakuza 0? Do you jump in with Yakuza Kiwami? Do you play the original Yakuza 1 and 2? There is a 7-game arc from Yakuza 0 to Yakuza 6 that effectively covers one man who's known as Kazuma Kiryu. And if you think like, oh, I gotta jump in here, if I don't play this, I'm not gonna understand that. But you have to look at it like this. There are 2 arcs for Kazuma Kiryu when it comes to like how the story plays out. So if you're playing, I know I'm going to get to the review of Lost Judgment, I'm just building up anticipation, but if you're going to jump into classic Yakuza, which is the Kazuma Kiryu saga, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to play Yakuza 0, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2, which cover the first arc, and if you want, you can leave it there, although I would continue forward and go with Yakuza 3, 4, 5, which set up another whole arc. You could technically say Yakuza 3 is kind of like an interquel between, the first arc and the second arc. So I guess if we go by that type of logic, then Yakuza 4, 5, and 6 is the end of that. That's the whole second arc, and the end of it being completely nicely wrapped up in Yakuza 6. Now, you're like, whoa, that's a whole lot of games. If you don't want to play any of that, jump into Yakuza 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is basically a soft reboot or basically a new starting launch pad for people who haven't played the previous Yakuza titles. And you can just jump in from there. The Judgment series, which is also set in the Yakuza world in the same town of Kamurocho, and really not miss anything, because even though it's set there, it's completely different. Doesn't really have a whole lot. There'll be callbacks, but it's not directly tied. Now I got all that out of the way. So this video, we're talking about Lost Judgment, which is the sequel to 2019's Yakuza spinoff known as Judgment, which is continuing the 3D brawler detective style gameplay of the Yakuza franchise. And I think it is a game, if everything I've said to this point hasn't convinced you, maybe you should jump into it. Well, yeah, I don't know what else to say. But anyways, this is what we're going to be diving into today. And for those of you who are new to the channel and may not know who I am Mikhail Kasanova, Hawaii content creator, host of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. And if you want to do me a solid favor, make sure you sub to the channel, ding the notification bell, hit the like button, and share it with someone you think would enjoy it. If you want to support what we do, we got merch, we got Teespring, we got TeePublic, we've got Patreon channel memberships, and so much more. So all that out of the way, and enough of my incessant rambling, we're going to go ahead and get into this review of Lost Judgment. Lost Judgment story sees Takayuki Yagami and his Gumi, or group, trying to find evidence to prove that one man, Akihiro Ihara, was able to be in 2 places at one time, but at the same time asking the question of what is justice, and creating a social commentary on what happens when the law fails to uphold justice, and the very real topics of bullying, trauma, murder, serial killing, and suicide. This is going to be one of Yagami's deepest and darkest stories yet. It's one that's really going to reel you in, and I really don't want to touch on anything more because I would be diving into spoiler territory. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the gameplay. If you're at all familiar with the Yakuza series, then you'll know that not much changes between titles outside of there being refinements in the gameplay mechanics and the streamlining of other aspects of the game. So, when I say that Lost Judgment feels like more of the same that we got from Judgment, then you'll know what I mean. You'll still have all the same brawler combat as before, along with the return of the detective elements. However, where Lost Judgment stands out from the original is in adding in a new fighting style that focuses on parrying incoming attacks. Frankly, there isn't much more to talk about as far as the gameplay formula other than the fact that RGG Studios have further refined it here. In refining the core gameplay formula, RGG Studios have fully refined the detective aspects of the game to be more involved than the previous games. Look around until you see something that triggers the next cutscene or fighting baddies until they cough up information. Lost Judgment now has you utilizing trackers, keyword searches, chat logs, social media browsing, directional microphone usage, and so much more to focus in on specific people and things, as well as the usage of a drone. Returning are side cases which have you exploring about both Kamurocho and the new area of Yokohama. And honestly, if you play Yakuza Like a Dragon, then you'll know that Lost Judgment picks up shortly after Ichiban's adventure. You'll be exploring everything from a mysterious science mannequin that springs to life at night, to working with a detective dog to sniff out potential crime, to even UFO sightings. These side stories are so much more zany, and they contrast the dark and somber main story and give you a break from its serious tone of tackling subjects like bullying, social isolation, and suicide. Lost Judgment dives headfirst into these topics and doesn't try to put any cute spins on how these impact people. The first game provides social commentary on society and those who have power and use it to dominate others, while this game focuses on bullying during childhood and how it impacts individuals, as well as how society allows such things to happen and often brushes it under the rug. You'll still have access to classic SEGA titles in the various Club Segas and arcades located around the bend, along with some other meeting games to dive into and some karaoke, and the typical Yakuza things that you should at this point be used to from an RGG Studios game. Now, graphically speaking, Lost Judgment doesn't look much, if at all, different from the remaster of Judgment, of which had a higher polygon count on the character models, including substantially higher levels of detail in the character faces, clothes, environments, hair textures, lighting, objects, and so much more in the environment. Lost Judgment basically is just, honestly, more of what you saw in Judgment, and that's not really a bad thing, as that game was pretty amazing looking. Now, as far as the audio department, I don't really have a lot to say here other than if you love the voice work, both in English and Japanese, the OST and the general ambience of the previous game, then you'll find yourself loving Lost Judgment, as it's essentially more of the same, give or take a few new tracks and some new voices here and there. Greg Chun is once again stellar in the role of Yagami and absolutely shines with his cadence and delivery. Other members of the voice cast that absolutely do tremendous voice work are Mark Whitten, Crispin Freeman, and Todd Haberkorn. The main thing of the game, Raisin, is an absolute banger and really sets the tone for this dark tale with some amazing riffs and amazing vocals performed by John Yakitori and Ado. Now, when it comes to downsides, I can't really say that there are many that I can nitpick or complain about over, honestly. If anything, I can say that it feels more of the same, which can be a good or bad thing depending on who you are and what you're expecting. For me, I personally love the first game and love that they went the extra mile to refine a lot of the gameplay aspects that carried over from that title to Lost Judgment. Yet someone else could be upset that the game doesn't really strive to do a lot more and might get a sense of been there, done that with this title. Now, all in all, with the wrap up, Lost Judgment is a sequel to one of the best games of 2019 that effectively does very little to add to that experience, and yet it still pulls off one of the best gaming and narrative experiences of 2021, showcasing that you don't have to do a lot of radically different things to have a sequel be good. Lost Judgment has the best 3D brawling you'll find in any game, along with some of the best detective gameplay and some of the silliest and most memorable side quests that you'll find, all while openly and honestly tackling the subjects of bullying and trauma that showcases the masterfulness of RGG Studios and their narrative storytelling. This is honestly a game that you must own, so please do not sleep on this title. And if you get the chance to pick it up, definitely make sure you pick it up and play it, and I promise you, you won't regret it. And that's it. That's the review for Lost Judgment. I reviewed the PlayStation 5 version. It's also available on PlayStation 4, Steam, Xbox One, Series X, and S. So what do you guys think? Are you a fan of the Judgment sub-series of the Yakuza franchise? Did you really enjoy it? Are you looking forward to it? Is it not tickling your fancy? Whatever your thoughts are, let's get the conversation going down in the comment section below. Again, huge shout out to SEGA for providing a review copy of the game. And if you want to pick it up, I do have affiliate links for Amazon and Best Buy, so you can go and buy it, be it, physical or digital editions, whatever you want. It comes at no additional cost to you, and I get a little bit of a kickback from the affiliate purchase, which goes back into this channel and keeps it going. If you want to take it further and support the channel and you enjoy the content we put out, from the podcast, the reviews, the live streams, and so much more, we do have channel memberships, we have Patreon, we have merch over on Teespring and TeePublic. But the biggest thing of all, if you want to support the channel, make sure you sub, hit the like button, share it around with someone you think would enjoy it, and yeah. That's all I gotta say. It's enough of my babbling. I'm gonna go back and play some more Lost Judgment. So I'll be signing out. I'm Mikhail Kasanova, Hawaii content creator, host of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast, and I hope to see you on the next one. Deuces, wow, too sweet, be the elite. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Mahalo for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate your support by those of you who like the videos, who watch them, who subscribe. And for those of you who are my Patreon supporters, thank you for your continued support, because you help make this possible. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support what we do have Patreon on patreon.com/MikhailCasanova. We also have Coffee, as well as Subscribe Star. So there's various methods if you want to support the work that we do here. We also have channel membership, so make sure you check that out. That way you get up to date on all the latest and greatest content that comes here, and first, and exclusive content as well. And if you enjoy the work that I do and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, I'm Mikhail Kasanova, Hawaii content creator. I hope to see you on the next one. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding the notification bell. And all that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.